It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure and an honor to be standing here with you today. I don't take it lightly, the fact that you've taken time out of your precious schedules to be here because you believe in some things that will impact and affect our community in which we live. So I say a special thank you to you. I say a special thank you to the women of TEDx, because I was wondering, what the heck is it that they figured that I'm going to say that's going to make a difference? But I say thank you. And you know, one of the things that I said I might do that might be a really good idea is that I might take time to figure out what the heck this TED and TEDx stands for. So I did. And surprisingly enough, it turns out that they had some new and some great information for me. And one of the things that truly stood out for me was the statement that connected to TED that says, TED is a global community welcoming people from every discipline and culture who seek a deeper understanding of the world, believe passionately in the power of ideas to change attitudes, lives, and ultimately the world. Wow. And wow backwards. Wow. And then when you heap on top of that the mission and the stance of the YWCA of eliminating racism and empowering women, wow. That's one heck of a mission. That's what you call a stand-up mission. And so I believe one of the greatest things that we can do is that we can go day to day and making sure that we empower ourselves and that we empower each other by sharing knowledge and sharing information that we have. Sharing information to educate ourselves and anyone that's around us about programs, about services, about funding, organizations, health and medical issues, and the process of allowing us to access those same things for ourselves. So I think what we're doing here is something they call networking. Is that right? We're networking, we're sharing ideas and interests, and the very idea of networking and sharing information and empowering others is, the good thing about it is it's vital, and it's not just something you get to do in the business world. You get to do that very same thing within the communities in which we live, and so it's vital. And so today I'm kind of grateful to be here and share with you some of the thoughts that I have on my mind, some of the things that have transpired in my life. So, and much like yourselves, I'm sure, some special events have taken place and impacted my stance in life. And the fact that TJ and Bobby Jean Patterson were the ones who impacted my life didn't hurt things at all. But the past year of my life has been huge. It's been a huge turning point. And it's been that way for a few reasons. The first one being, I have become a grandmother as of October the 3rd, 2015. So they call me, or she calls me, Grandma, or Glammy, because I'm kind of glamorous like that. But I'm a Glammy to a beautiful little girl, which was a miracle and a miraculous work of God within itself. A situation where the mother who had been counted out from being able to conceive because of some serious medical conditions and issues. Then came Zaya Grace Patterson, right into this world. And without any medical assistance or intervention. And if that doesn't change your world, and if that doesn't give you some hope to stand, then I don't know what else will. December 31st, 2015. Oh, I'm going, y'all. I retired at the ripe old age of 53, well before what folks would consider to be retirement age. But I did it after 21 years where I served and was able to guide and direct staff and working with children and families and who found themselves, and the families and the children may have found themselves in situations because of certain decisions and events that they had taken. Of course, this was served through the Juvenile Justice Center. And you know, there were periods of time that I had great pride when I had to show some compassion, but they were followed by times of working with families and children that they called me and they would talk to me about so many of the things that had affected their lives and some of the things that had caused them to have a new beginning and how to change their attitudes, and thus causing a shift in their lives. And if that doesn't start a fire in your heart, then your wood is wet. And so, after 5 months of street walking, door knocking, forum presenting, community meetings, and at that point, I was elected as the first African American to serve as city council in the city of Lubbock, Texas, USA. For District 2, which is a very diverse area, but it's an area full of folks who have come to feel that their ideas and their voices didn't even matter. So off I went. And in this journey, I came to realize that it was time for us to stop being passive and uninvolved in whatever it is that we were a part of. So it just made good sense that I'd be here today and stand with you on the resounding idea that we should stand up, because it's about time. In the words of the great Bob Marley, get up, stand up for your rights. Or how about just plain old stand up because it is right? You can clap. It's okay. And I've been taught that it's a poor dog that won't wag his own tail, but I don't say this to brag. But I say it to point out to the fact that it speaks volumes for the fact that if people will stand up and reach out and begin to speak on the things that they believe, some things can happen. And I want you to realize I didn't do it for me, because I promise you if it had anything to do with Sheila, I'd have hightailed it out of here to California to be glamour to Zaya Grace. But it was not about me. I stood with folks who felt like they'd been left out, that they didn't have a voice, that they didn't have a chance. And that's not to say that even if you do that makes us any special than anyone else or anything like that. It just brings back the idea of the same theme of this event here today, that it's about time that we stand up. And oddly enough, I chose kind of similar theme for my campaign of the time is now, District 2. And each of us, we're citizens in our own communities. And what happens is we have our own thing, and we're some of our parts, is what we are. We have our different areas that we live. We have our different things that we do. But we're some of our parts. And it's important that we recognize that if there's one part that is not whole, then it affects the whole thing. If there is one community that is not thriving and progressing, then guess what? The city as a whole is not thriving and progressing. If there is one family or one individual that is not thriving and progressing, then guess what? Then none of us here is thriving and progressing. I don't care who you are. We must want for our brother and our sister the same thing that we want for ourselves. I'll say that again. We must want for our brother and our sister the same thing that we want for ourselves. And if there's something we can do, then we must do it. If there's something we can say, we must say it. And if there is something we can give, then we shouldn't even hesitate to give. We must never stop doing what needs to be done. We have to do what's necessary. It's giving money, if it's being encouraging, if it's giving an ear or whatever it is, we have to make sure that we get that done. Which means that together we have to make this thing happen. And that we each play a vital role in our communities, in the city, and in the world that we live in. And I stand here with you today believing in the idea that definitely the time is now for so many things. It's about time for us that we as citizens take a look and take care of one another. It's about time that we as citizens begin to get involved. It's about time that we as citizens engage with the various community organizations that we have, that even so many of us are even a part of, that we tell no one about. It's about time. It's about time that we empower ourselves. It's about time that we empower others with the knowledge that we have. It's about time that we learn and figure out what information we need to gather, what information we need to share, what events and activities that are taking place, and what we need to do to ensure that all is well within our communities. It's about time. I don't take it lightly that some of you within the city, some of you may be in District 2, maybe not, but I don't take it lightly that the fact that citizens have entrusted to me the responsibility of taking resources that you provide, and that I use and I work with other city officials and within the staff within the city, and that I use the funds appropriately. That we take funds that are set aside and ensure that they are used appropriately, and that you give me an enormous amount of trust. One of the things I think is important to develop, to develop a relationship that allows people to know and feel that they are a part of the process. And so what happened when I took office? I thought I'd do something a little daring. We set out to meet in every single community in the district and allowed citizens to have their say. We wanted to work to ensure that we empowered them, that we provided them with information, that we provided them with contacts. We were able to take their ideas, and as we work from day to day, start trying to implement them. We were able to help to redevelop and develop some neighborhood associations and so many, in a couple of the communities that had fallen by the wayside. But we did that by wanting to provide and develop a better relationship with citizens. We were able to provide information about programming through the city and the organizations and how they could effectively change their lives and their communities. I'm often told of the few words by a man that is always in my ear, that it takes every last one of us, and that little threads of cotton make mighty big rope. So each of us represent a thread within our communities. And we get to work together to make this big rope that gets to affect every citizen in every corner of the city that we live. And I know sometimes we feel that, oh, well, you know, it's not important what I do. It's not important what I say. It's not important that I get involved. But if you don't, then what? Being and believing passionately in the power of ideas to change attitudes, lives, and ultimately the world. And you know what, I'd venture to guess that, like so many of you guys here today, that you found yourself in a situation where you received some information that was pretty darn empowering. Would you say so? That there was something that happened or some bit of information that came to you one day and it lit a bulb in your head. It changed your whole way of thinking. It changed your whole life. And I seem to feel like that's exactly what happened in the district that I serve and I represent. The fact that citizens have been empowered and provided with the means and ways to access programming. The thing that what I've learned is that there has been a record number of folks who have accessed the services and programming that is being provided by the city. That is awesome, especially for the folks that it affects. It is huge that we not only begin to empower each other and every citizen, but that we encourage every citizen that we come in contact with, that they empower someone else, that they empower every person they have contact with, that they empower every person that they touch, that they empower every person that they know, so that we as a community can stand up. It's about time to stand. But we have to stand without selfishness, stand without only being concerned about me and mine. Stand and let everyone know that we each have a role in this thing. Standing to say that it's not a one man's show. Standing to say that each of us can affect the world and continue to make life better. Or for each of us, we can affect things and make life better for us all. So, newsflash. Standing up comes with its frustrations. And as I stated earlier, I have this guy that's in my life, this man that's in my life who's always positive and always encouraging and always has a kind word to say and good advice for you. I was told by this gentleman, because I often find myself sometimes wanting to give up, that at the moment you feel like you're going to give up, you find yourself at the corner of East 24th and Elm Street at the Carver Heights Early Learning Center. And look in the faces of those young people, and then you'll be reminded of just why you're standing, just why you're doing the things that you do. So as a part of my pledge, I've committed myself to take a role in making myself available and making myself accessible to the citizens of my own community, my own district, and also to the citizens of the rest of the city. If we don't stand for the people and ideas in our community, then who's going to do it? So, it's about time. The time is now. I'm looking for you to stand up. Blessings to you.